What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Tinker Tribe podcast. I am joined today with my buddy Logan Hyde. What's up, Logan? Thanks for being here, man.
Oh, glad to be here. Glad to get on here and talk shop a little bit. Everything's going good. Enjoying this beautiful evening. We're not going to have many like this from here on out. So,
Oh my gosh, man. Yeah, I took a walk myself today and I would just threw on my backpack I got from SOE Tactical from John Willis at the last SRF. It's my get home bag and I'm just practicing hiking around with that thing. And I was out there today and the weather was so beautiful and just got to see more of the local area around where our where I work. It's like I haven't gone out and like kind of walked around and experienced a lot of that. So, but today was a perfect day to do that. It was beautiful outside.
yeah,
so uh
good day.
so yeah, man. Today wanted to maybe share about the project that we're currently working on together and talk a little bit about that, and then kind of get into what we got accomplished over the weekend here, and then kind of move into everything that you got going on. And I know you just started to get out on your own and starting your own business of doing different jobs for people. So talk about that for a little bit and wrap the show up then. So yeah, man, you came out over the weekend and I have this little piece of property that's down by Smith Lake, and we got out there and was really impressed with your skills, man, of being able to come up with designs for things, and then go out there and we executed, and we're able to build a little bathroom in, I don't know, maybe, what was it, like 4 hours, something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't long that we were out there, and we also got the platform for the other bathroom ready. And ripped up all the material, almost all of them. Well, yeah, we got all the material that we needed ripped done. That was the thing I think that killed us was the extra setup of tools, and then you had to do some cleanup, and so we were actually kind of a little handicapped. We got started late, went to Lowe's late, so it was a very productive day. Yeah, the bathrooms are going to be key to getting that project going. And like you said, you want it to be more of a permaculture site. We're doing composting toilets, so this is really just like basically an outhouse with no hole in it, and it's just going to have the toilet in it. Have a door, and just for privacy. And we even moved it a little bit. We had we could have left a lot earlier if we'd have had the proper tools to hook up some way of pulling the bathroom because it's on skids. So if we'd have had a proper way to pull it, we could have probably got done a lot quicker. But we had to make a hole saw, or we had to get a hole saw. We had to make a hole, and then the hole wasn't quite big enough. We hit a screw going through it, and ended up having to take it out with a chisel. Yeah, if we wouldn't have had the hiccups that we did, things I think would have went even faster. But yeah, this next Saturday we should be looking at having the bathrooms done and getting started on some structures for people to camp in. Getting some little cabins going.
Yeah, so to give everybody a little background on what the project we're currently working on together is that Logan came to the last meetup that we had for our Freedom Cell group, and approached me with the idea of saying, "Hey, why don't we take the land?" I remember you asking me, we were like, "Hey, don't you have some land? And what's going on with the land?" And that started the conversation. He pitched the idea of, "Hey, why don't we turn this into like a little camping property that we can put up on like Hip Camp or something like that." And so the land is just sitting there vacant right now, and wasn't doing anything with it. And I was like, yeah, that'd be perfect to let's partner up on this, and let's give it a go. Let's give it a see what happens.
Yeah, I remembered you talking about the property, and my thing is I wanted to get a hip camp going, but I'm working on my own off-grid property, and we've been doing camper life, and the main priority for us is to get, of course, got to keep the revenue streams coming in because we've all got to eat. But the big thing is getting that house done. My house is under construction, milled the whole thing. And we've got a spot that would be okay for a hip camp, but just, it's not on the priority list right now for us. Plus, your location is far superior to ours just because it's so close to the lake. We're not really close to anything. We're close to Lake Gunnersville, kind of, but it's not close enough for it to be convenient for campers. So yeah, I thought it was a good idea. I've been wanting to do this for a while, and so you having the property and already having the desire to do it and having thought of it before just worked out perfect. It was funny when you were mentioning that. I was like, oh yeah, I kind of did approach you about that, and I thought about like your whole health journey. John Willis got you to say, hey, why don't you start working out and put it online? And I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
why don't you start a hip camp? And you're like, yeah. And so, I mean, heck, you're doing it. You've done both things. Now all you need is somebody to come up to you and say, hey, why don't you just become a millionaire? And then you can just become a millionaire. That's
Well,
all we need. We just need that next person to come up and be like, hey, Greg, why don't you become a millionaire? And then you can just do it, man. It'll be great.
well, hell, man. The thing that I've been thinking about lately is just surrounding your people with, or surrounding yourself with positive action taking people. And for the longest time, it's taken me going to these events and going to these and going to these conferences and things to meet people that are like-minded, that can see what's going on in the world, but refuse to let that black pill them, and to stay focused on creating a better future. And what better way to do that than taking actions, and and that approach of taking actions, I believe, has a ripple effect. Like the people that you're around the most are going to be the people that are going to like rub off on you the most, I believe.
Hmm.
Is what I've learned. And just meeting folks like you and my buddy Tyler. We were out helping a friend do solar projects, and like everybody in the Freedom Cell group that we have that meets on a regular basis, like these are all really positive people that like we're encouraging each other with our own entrepreneurial efforts, and like helping to build each other up,
Hmm.
and do that underground networking. Where I know Nicole Sauce talks a lot about how to develop your underground network, and if we want things to really be different in the future, we really have to take responsibility, and we have to start doing things instead of talking about them. And I know you've expressed that to me before, is like, let's stop talking about things, let's start taking some actions. um and what better way to do that than they do that economically? I think we need
Hmm.
to help each other economically in pursuing different businesses and ideas and things.
Absolutely. I mean, my whole goal right now, as far as I feel like I have my personal goals, stuff that I want to have. There's the off grid homestead. There's producing my own meats and vegetables and all that jazz, and building my family's home. There's all that stuff, and then there's stuff that helps fund that, like with my business. And one of the things that I have kind of is like a legacy goal is to create a parallel economy. And really all that is me being the guy that knows the guy, and knowing other guys that know other guys. And that's what I've been really focusing on doing. um, I think that on one of your live streams, you mentioned when we were going to have the mushroom workshop, there's Lee and Deanna. They work with me on that, doing the mushrooms. And we were just talking about bartering and stuff one night, and it's starting to come together. The more people that I've kind of pushing like, hey, let's do some of this stuff. Let's get things moving. Encouraging people to start their own businesses or to start a side hustle or to, do something creative. That's the only way it's ever going to get done, is by leading by example and just encouraging others to do the same. And the thing is a rising tide floats all boats. I think it's like the Amish communities, their dollar passes over, I think it's 7 times before it ever leaves the community. Well, I would love to have a community where the dollar passed over 100 times or 1,000 times before it left the community. And the only way we're going to do that is by attracting people with different skills and taking action, doing the bartering, doing the collaboration. I feel like a lot of business partnerships fail, and I almost feel like the reason is nowadays is because there's so much paperwork involved.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, well, we got to make sure that we've got all these contracts, that way we don't screw each other over. It's like, my goodness, have we lost that much faith in humanity? Like, I mean, has everything got to be on paper? Because, I mean, those pieces of paper don't mean anything. It's all up for interpretation. Whoever's got the most money and the most lawyers is going to be the one who comes out on top. I mean, that's what you're looking at. And people with their greed and stuff, and, people not wanting to be givers. I've always tried to be a giver, and I know anytime I surround myself with givers, like I said, just the rising tide floats all the boats, and that's where we've got to get to. I always say, like, even if it's just, if you're trading somebody mint or basil for, chicken eggs or compost or whatever you've got to do to get a ball rolling, like, do something. It doesn't matter what it is, just get something started.
Yeah, and man, that is right on point, dude. Like, that's totally like the same conclusions I've come to myself. Is like, yeah, you really have to, and that's kind of like the reason I named it the Tinker Tribe, was thinking about a lot of these things, and coming from in my own life, kind of going into analysis paralysis mode a lot, and not taking the action because of the fear of judgment of other people,
Mm-hmm.
and getting past that. It's like you sit there, and you have some idea or something that you're wanting to do and accomplish, and if all it does is sit there in your mind, then you're never going to take the actions to make it manifested. If you're waiting for it to be perfect, like, nothing is ever going to be perfect. You've got to, like you said, you have to try, and you have to just start taking some actions, and it's gonna, things will evolve over time. That's one of the things that John told me, is like, okay, you start off as this, but it can evolve into other things. And that's
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of these folks that I've been listening to, is that, you know, your business or whatever that you've started, you might have a bigger vision for something, not to get totally stuck in that one vision type thing. Like, be able to change and adapt as you go, because things may not always work out the way that you have envisioned in your mind.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things. Uh, I don't want to stray too far from the permaculture camp topic at the moment, but just to kind of add on to what you're saying there, when I started out on my own doing I started a handyman business, and I chose to do the handyman stuff because I do have a wide variety of skills. Now, I can't do everything, but there's a lot of things that I can do. And it has left me open to really see what kind of demand for work there is. And I'll tell you right now, it's everything. Like, I mean, it is unbelievable just how much people are starved for people that can actually do something for them. That's going to be just, I mean, if you can just literally be honest, show up and do a job like you halfway care, you've got work. I mean, it's out there. And I felt kind of like I had just had success with getting these jobs and stuff overnight. But when I looked back at it, I had done a lot of footwork when I was still working the 9 to 5 and was really, killing myself. That's the thing is, I mean, everything comes with a sacrifice too. Just like right now with our camp that we're doing, this is going to require a lot of Saturdays. It's going to require a lot of work, and but I mean, the payoff's big. And so once you can um, come to terms, I think, with the sacrifice, that's when people start doing things. Because I think a lot of times it's not that people are lazy. It's not that people don't have the motivation. It's not that they don't want it. It's the fact that they're not quite comfortable, I don't think, with the sacrifice, with what the sacrifice is going to be. So if you can come to terms and say, hey, look, I want this thing and I'm going to need to sacrifice such and such to get it, and you're willing to make that sacrifice, it becomes easy. Well, I shouldn't say easy. It's still going to be hard because it is a sacrifice, but it becomes easy to get the ball rolling on the stuff. But anyway, yeah, before I get too far down that rabbit hole, we can jump
Well,
back to our camp.
yeah, you're right, man. I mean, a lot of uh doing things is building momentum, and the sacrifices that you have to do, like you're saying, is part of building that momentum. Like it's, like a train, like a heavy train that just gets started. It's really hard to stop that once you get it going. I
Mm-hmm.
noticed that through, doing the workouts and everything too. It's like is a real struggle to get started, but really it's all about just getting started and just staying consistent and like doing that consistently on a regular basis. And that's like really changed a lot about like how I think about things. It's like changed like creatively, going out and working with you on that Saturday. Like I normally, like before I started all these workouts and everything, I would have been too wiped out from the week to even attempt that. And
Yeah.
I had to like, I have more energy now to be able to do stuff like that and not be completely just wiped out. So it's about the momentum, like getting some kind of momentum started. So tell me a little bit about like what you got going on with your handyman business. What kind of jobs are you doing? Like I know you were working as a carpenter and you're working in a cabinet shop there
Mhm.
for a little while. What kind of jobs are you taking on? Are you doing that? Would you entertain some of that stuff too? Or are you taking on just like whatever's available?
Yeah, I've been taking on pretty much whatever's available that I have the skill set for, and that's the thing that I have the skill set for. Now, fortunately, I haven't had anybody approach me with jobs that I can't do really so far, and that's been a blessing. But you've got to be honest in your skill set, because if you don't know what you're doing on something, or you're not upfront with somebody, like, I mean, if it's a job that doesn't require a whole lot of skill, you're not going to burn somebody's house down or something, and you say, hey, look, never done this before, but I've got these skills, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna give you a little bit of a discounted rate because I'm learning, or whatever it is. As long as you're honest with those people, um, it works out. But yeah, I've been doing a little bit of everything. Been doing a little bit of staining concrete, doing some landscaping, some carpentry jobs, like some repairs and stuff, and a lot of tree work. Because I have my own sawmill and I've got the experience of taking down trees, and just because of my knowledge of trees and how passionate I am about trees, that's some of the work that comes to me. Like tomorrow, I'm getting ready to go and trim some trees for some people that they didn't trimmed around their house. They got an ant problem, and they've had it sprayed around the base of the house, but the ants are coming up the tree and coming into the house, so they've got to get those trimmed. It's just a myriad of different things, and the handyman really is a transition. Now, I am passionate about doing a good job for people, and being able to turn my energy into something that's going to be of service to people for a long time. So doing stuff like the landscape and painting, staining, doing woodworking, building. I even built some rabbit cages for some people. I mean, just all kinds of stuff like that. Like working with you on the camp. and being able to years down the road see that and that be something that's still there. So yeah, it's been a little bit of everything, and I'm kind of just taking whatever comes and then trying to invest in the jobs that are more frequent. Like, for example, with a lot of the tree trimming, tree felling, landscaping type stuff, as I get more of that, invest more back into that side of the company. I think that handyman, for a lot of people that want to start a business and they're good with their hands, it's a really good startup business because you can work on your own. You can kind of pick and choose what kind of jobs you want to do or what jobs you're skilled at, and you can kind of see where it goes from there. I've even got a pressure washer, and I've done just a little bit of work with the pressure washer. And I mean, who knows, on down the road it could turn into a pressure washing business, or it could turn into a landscaping business. You just never know. So handyman is a really good way to kind of test and see what's out there and what the demand is, and also to see what you like, because there's a lot of stuff that I can do, but I certainly don't like doing it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I remember talking to Toolman Tim Cook on the podcast, and that's basically how he said he started off was he just started off like picking up people's dog poop, like doing the jobs that nobody wanted to do really, and
Hmm.
then charging a premium for it, and then like just starting from there and like just picking up and investing in tools as he went along and
Yeah.
getting doing all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I had the this little thing playing here on what we got accomplished over the weekend there. And so this is like a little, basically it's going to be an outhouse that has like a composting toilet in it, but this is us built in the build process here. So if you want to, can you see that okay on the screen?
I can, and I'm pretty sure that I'm wearing the same shirt now that I am in that video. People's gonna think I got only one shirt. Which, if they talk to my wife, that's what she would lead them to believe. She calls my style homeless style. So, um, yeah, I can see. Yeah, so yeah, in this video, what you saw that was on the table before was just the platform. So we built it out of treated lumber, and then the rest of it is ripped one and a half by one and a half. It's a 2x4 ripped in half, and that's used to frame up the walls, and then it's all structurally held together by plywood that's fastened to the deck. Now, the plywood and the 2x4s and the roof and everything is not treated lumber, but we are going to put a stain or a paint on them. And you can save doing that because anything that you have with ground contact, you want it to be treated or to be some type of rot resistant lumber, or it needs to stay completely dry. And the thing is that the inside of the outhouse will stay completely dry. It's just the exterior that won't. And so you can, if you're going to go ahead and paint or stain anyway, because not a lot of people just like the look of bare plywood. So we're going to trim these out and stain them or paint them. Kind of look at our options on what's going to look best. You can save some money by just getting the regular lumber and using something to weatherproof it. We used a little bit of scrap metal that Greg had on site, and that saved us some money. Now, the total cost for this is estimated, with us saving on the lumber and the furring strips on top of the roof, which were actually like some 1x8s, I think, that was rough cut lumber.
Yep.
It was right at about $300. Now, that's not including labor. Me and Greg there,
Right.
we did that as part of the investment. He's the money bags that's funding this project, and me and him are the brawn to put it together. So yeah, you could easily, if you've got the skills to build a box and to put some skids on the bottom of a little platform, build a deck, and cut out a door. If you can do those things and screw metal on, I mean, you could build one of these things for around $300 if you could source of materials. If not, I mean, if you had to buy everything, you might look at maybe 350, 400 at the most. So pretty cheap little structure. I know on my YouTube channel I mentioned a couple of things about the structure. I did a little quick, like 2-3 minute video. And one of the things that we are going to have to do is we're going to have to anchor this wherever we put it. It is portable, but it's got a little bit of a sail on top of it because it's tall enough to catch some rainwater for a sink that's going to go with it for hand washing. So we've got to somehow we're either going to put some kind of hardware on the side of it and put some stakes in the ground, or look at some kind of legs, something to keep it from blowing away. But it's going to open up a lot of opportunities just because we can put the bathrooms there where it's not going to be baking in the sun, and we don't have to run a whole lot of pipe and plumbing and all of that jazz. Put a septic in. So the compost and toilets are going to be awesome. Which I'll probably let you talk about those. They're not cheap. I know that we're actually spending more on them than we are the buildings.
Yeah, yeah. So, looking, you did the research on that, and a lot of the, I guess, RVers and people that do some off grid stuff, like this Nature's Head toilet, and it's a composting toilet. So, yeah, just like you were saying, because of we'd like to be able to move these around. That went with the composting toilet option, so that we didn't have to uh, go and do all the plumbing that would be required to set up a full like uh, flush toilet system and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, these Nature's Head toilets are more expensive. They're pretty expensive. They're like $1,000 a piece. But for when we talk about like having to set up a black water system and all that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and doing all the yeah, having to dig into the earth and putting in some kind of a black water system to handle that waste, then the cost for that can you know that's a minimal cost in my opinion,
Yeah.
in comparison to doing that. So I thought it was a good idea to make that investment and do go with the composting toilet route.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there are some cheaper options as far as like the vermicomposting that we talked about. As far as your materials and everything. The other thing is though, you're going to put in a lot of labor. Now you may put in, and if you don't want to put in the labor, then you need to hire the machinery, and the machinery is going to end up costing you, like you said, just about what it is for the toilets, and you're not going to have the portability. So for me, I'll tell some of my secrets here. For me, I'm redneck, off grid, homesteader type of guy. I'm all that, but I do have just a little bit of a bougie side, and it's that I love a bidet and I hate toilet paper. I mean, I feel like as Americans, we just really have missed it on the bidet. Like, there's all other places in the world. Japan's got them, all over Europe. They've got bidets, and it's quite an experience. I have even been known to, when we were going to have extended trips, like going and visiting family out in Texas, to unhook my bidet and take it to their bathroom. So I mean,
Oh yeah, you got a little portable one that you can hook
yeah,
into
I've
the
got a little
water.
portable one because I mean, it's just it's like taking a shower in the middle of the day. Um, you're clean. I've always used the example of, well, if you stepped in poo, would you just get some toilet paper and wipe it off your foot, or would you go to the hose and wash it off? It's like you go to the hose and you wash it off.
Yeah.
But anyway, as far as like, most people are perfectly fine doing it the backwards caveman way and using toilet paper. So the composting toilet is an excellent option. Um, I thought it was the best option for what we're doing, especially since we're trying to move it in more of a permaculture direction, and it being a permaculture demonstration site. You can do a lot of other ways to manage your waste, but a lot of them are, they're either going to be a little money intensive or a little labor intensive. and you're going to be set to one spot for the most part. Now you can do some outhouse stuff, but man, there's some stuff about outhouses. I mean, as much as people say, oh, it doesn't stink. Even the ones that are managed really well, a lot of times there's like, yeah, there's a little bit of an odor. And I know that over at Hermes, they've got the website, Paul Wheaton over at Wheaton Labs. He's got some really good stuff with like the willow feeders. But then again, I mean, that requires a wheelie bin. You've got to move it out ever so often. You've got to build a urine diverter. Yeah, I mean, it's like there's a trade-off with all of it. And it all, to me, ends up being around to close the same price. Now, if we would have got a septic in, we would either had to bootleg it, or would have had to, you pay your tribute of $500 to the government, so that way they can say you can dump your poop wherever, because they don't even send anybody out to go and look at it. You just pay the fine. And not only that, but then they require you to have a perk test. And so that costs some money. And who knows, the way that we're on that slope there, there's a good possibility they could have got over there with the backhoe and dug and been like, oh, whoops, we hit sand rock at like, 2 or 3 feet. And then they'd be like, you're not going to, be able to put in a septic tank. So, I mean, yeah, I think that for anybody who's looking, especially to move onto a property off grid super quick and get on there to where you can get some stuff done, gray water is super easy to handle. I mean, if you've got a spot where you can dump it in like a mulch pit with some willow trees, you're golden. I mean, it's nothing to do gray water. A lot of people down here in the South even take their gray water and just dump it right out the back of their house. And it doesn't seem to harm anybody. And that's with, all the washing detergents and everything. But the composting toilet, I would highly recommend it to anybody. It's going to hurt paying $1,000 for a toilet when you could go buy one for $100 at Lowe's. But when you consider everything else that's wrapped into that cost, it's totally worth it. And I'm sure that Greg and I will be giving some reviews sometime soon on how well they work. The Nature's Head is the one that is supposed to be the best of the best. It's got the little crank handle on the side, so that way you throw in some sawdust and it disappears. It's got a little urine tank. It seems like the best option for most people that are wanting to go off grid. I think it's probably the best, in my opinion. I'll say in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, to spin things up pretty quickly, I think like it's the way to go for what we're looking to do, which is to get this thing ready to go and to put up on like a hip camp or something like that, so that people can come out there and experience the kind of like an agrotourism kind of thing. Is kind of the big vision for the place, but just to have a campground that can make some money off of it through something like hip camp or whatever.
Yeah, and I know we had discussed about it being an education site, and really with the hip camp, if you think about it, and I know you and I have already discussed this, but just for the viewers, if you think about it, the people that are doing hip camp, there's going to be campers from anywhere. I mean, they're not specifically permaculture people, and the more demonstrations that you have, like if you have some swale or some a mulched garden, a coppice system, a pollard system, rainwater catchment, all that stuff, you're introducing that permaculture stuff to people that don't even know what it is. I mean, they never even heard the word. And so having that as an education side of being able to bring awareness to people of what it is, I think will be huge. It's something that I don't know necessarily that it's been done, because it seems like most of your permaculture sites, that are for education for people for permaculture, it's people that are already bonkers about it, like me and you, that, like that's all we talk about is permaculture. You got to do all the things. And we just go and, looking for that next little nugget of knowledge to be able to apply to our own stuff. So having it being a place of like being able to introduce people that have no idea, I think will help the the movement of people having a more sustainable life, because people are really wanting to get out of the cities. They're wanting to connect back with nature. Kids are on their dead phones all the time, and parents are looking for ways to get them out and have them do something different. Because, other than like um, toys and video games, there's not a whole lot to distract kids besides phones. And the only way that you get them really back connected with being a kid is getting them outside. I mean, I spent most of my childhood outside. If I wasn't in the water or getting into something or making, roads in the dirt with a hoe to race our cars on and stuff, I mean, that was the stuff. And
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
people are looking to get their kids back into that, because we've gotten to a stage. Technology is a huge blessing, but it's a huge curse at the same time. And yeah, I've got huge dreams for the site, for your property. I mean, I've got all kinds of stuff that I think there's potential and possibilities for, and getting it on to places like Hit Camp, and getting on to homesteading websites, freedom sale websites, permaculture websites. I think will give people an opportunity to learn some more and to disconnect from the modern world for a minute.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I was listening to it was John and Nicole and Joel Riles. He does the Fortress Canine today, and they were talking about how the training of the dogs and the relating to like the kids growing up right now. It's like if your kid doesn't like a lot of the kids growing up now, they were talking about like how they get treated and like kind of like not disciplined or whatever, and then they get out in the real world and then get confronted with things, and they don't
Hmm.
know how, they're not really comfortable with dealing with them because they haven't tried that thing and failed and then learned how to get past it and get through it. So um let's see, somebody's saying my volume is really low. It's, let's see, maybe if I turn up this right here,
Oh,
maybe that'll help.
I
Uh,
forgot to I forgot to mention at the beginning of the live stream, I didn't plan to stream to my YouTube channel. I don't know if there's anybody watching on my YouTube channel, but if you are and you do put anything in the comments, I don't see it. I'm on a cell phone, and I'm not sure
I can bring
if I
up
can.
people's chats on the screen here. I don't know if that's somebody that follows you, but it's thank you for letting me know that my volume was low. Hopefully, it wasn't too low the entire time. And hopefully that helped. If
Yeah, I don't. I'm not sure if it's is on my channel or yours.
Uh, so yeah, man, like when I first got the land, that was the dream, was to build it into, you know, well, I guess in the beginning, like that was the big vision. If I could go back and pull up my blog, actually I might attempt to do that in the background here. But I began blogging on Steemit back in the day, and you know, laid out a vision of what I wanted for the property. And it's pretty much like what you're talking about, uh, with being a, um, like a permaculture demonstration site and a way to, kind of promote the ideas of agorism, and a place for, people to meet and, do events and things like that. And so, finding you and you being interested in helping me develop the property and turn it into something that's such a blessing, man.
Yeah, you talk about that, and I think about just journey of finding out about all this stuff. My gateway, I think, into this whole world was Joel Salatin, and I think he's been a lot of people's gateway. There's several bigs that have been a lot of people's gateway into this kind of stuff, and just finding the freedom cell and finding people like Lee, Indiana, like you, and doing these collaborations. It's been a huge blessing to have the people that can kind of bring the other half, because that's the thing is I think homesteaders and freedom type people are sometimes we're very productive, we're very self-reliant, and it's sometimes a curse because we don't want to rely on anybody else, and we don't want anybody else to help us. And it's kind of like a thing, well, I can do this on my own. I'm Laura Ingalls, I'm going to go out west and live in my dugout. But we're
Yeah.
as human beings, no matter what your belief is, me personally, I'm a creationist, so I believe we're created, or you want to believe we evolved or whatever. As humans, we do not do well by ourselves. We are a community species. We need to work together. And so finding people that want to work with you, and you're not going to want to work with everybody. Not everybody gets along. You can have two great people that, are good people, do anything for you, but they just can't work together. And that's fine. But, it's about finding your tribe, try not to be too cliche there with the Tinker tribe, but I mean, you try to find your tribe of people that will help move you forward. And I guess I always think of there's a quote by Joel Salatin, but I don't think he originally said it. He got it from somebody else, but it says that or the ability to grow a business or to have a successful business, something like that, doesn't grow on the same pair of legs. And so, it takes more people to do these things. So just, finding you and being able to have you have the part that, hey, I've got the land, I've got some money saved up, I'm really wanting to do this, and me having some extra time now and some extra resources to be able to, move that forward, I think is what's going to really move everybody forward in the permaculture communities, the self-reliance communities, the homesteaders, all the peoples. And I feel like everybody's moving kind of the same point. I don't think we'll later on look at all of these different communities like their religions or anything. They're going to be kind of just people that want to be independent and they want to live like we're supposed to. I feel like we've just gotten so far from a lot of things. The powers that be do not want us to communicate. They don't want us to have relationships. They're all about, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Amazon. I love just having packages show up to the door. That may not be a good thing. I don't know everything about Amazon. A lot of people demonize them and talk about how bad they are. And, a lot of those things are probably true. But if you'll notice, it's like everything's moving to where it's like, oh, well, you can order stuff online and you don't have to talk to anybody. You don't have to go to the store. You don't have to get out. You don't have to do this. And it's like, once you cut all of that out of your life, I mean, what's really life about? It's if you're not getting out inside in nature, if you never have to leave your house and you never have to talk to anybody or deal with anybody, it's like, well, crap. I mean, that's like saying, well, oh, hey, we've got it to where now you would never have to eat food, or you never have to breathe, or you never have to do whatever. It's like, well, what do you even exist for? You get to a point where you're just cutting all this stuff out of your life. And I don't know, when I get up with the Freedom Cell people and other like-minded people, all of that stuff just goes away. It's it's good interactions. It's collaborating with people. It's getting stuff rolling, getting it started, getting it going, keeping it going. But yeah, the property is going to be great. I won't say exactly when we're going to have it ready, but once we have it ready, it's going to be great for people in the community to do events, to come out and stay with us. It's gonna be big. I feel like it's going in a really good direction.
Believe me, man. I mean, I've learned that, learned that the hard way of being super independent and going out and doing a lot of this stuff on my own. And just like you're saying, we are social creatures, and that wears on you over time, just like being isolated and doing all this stuff on your own. It is very isolating, and it's very much like I need to find a community. I need to find other people that are into this kind of thing as well. And um yeah, man, I've looking through all my old blog posts here. I've actually found the original drawing and blue, I guess, kind of the layout of how I envisioned this whole thing going down. So let's see if I could pull this up here. This was the kind of the original vision, I guess, of the homestead was it's like a pond, all these different fruit tree like orchard, um, having this workshop area, trails in there, greenhouse, all this kind of stuff, and kind of laying all this stuff out. And this is like a picture of the original trees, fruit and nut trees that I had planted out there. um this is
Hold
like a
hold
little
up on that
idea.
picture right there. Sorry to interrupt, but that next picture that you have,
Yeah,
that
this one
is
right here.
okay. Yes. So you know how we talked about how I'm bad at putting stuff on paper or explaining stuff to people, but I can just imagine it. That right there is pretty close to what I'm talking about. Some of those little cabins. So, um, yeah,
Cool.
that
Yeah.
I think that there's pretty close. That looks like kind of like about a 12 by 12, and so that's kind of what we have planned to put in a couple of those first. But anyway, sorry, I'll let you continue. I just wanted to make sure that we didn't miss that picture.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, this was the layout. This was 6 years ago. I had sat down and I was like coming up with a vision for the property. And this is some of the ideas I had is like some glamping areas, and then like all of the permaculture stuff with the orchard and the trees and the different perennials, and then being able to have like the little Airbnb, maybe even building hobbit houses, having a little trading post, like and being like, you see in the video games, like being the guy that's like the market where you come in and the trading post dude in the video games or whatever. Nancy said that interdependent might be the word and concept to aim for. Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
I
like
think
that.
I like that. It's yeah, interdependent with others, and working together on a common vision kind of thing. Like I but from talking to other people that are kind of in this mindset, um you know uh going off and doing the thing on your own, like I guess there's the challenge and the adventure of that, but it really is a bummer being isolated
Mhm.
like that. And it is so much greater to have a community and to have other people that can get together and work together on things. It just makes life so much more enjoyable, I think.
Couldn't agree more. And there's a lot of people in the world today. It seems like as a people, we're and not necessarily me or you or anybody else who's like minded like us, but the I guess we'll just keep saying the powers that be want people to be extremely dependent on them. And I think the independence is a really good trait to have. I mean, you want people to carry their own weight. I mean, I don't want to have to worry about like, oh God, Greg, we're gonna have to help him again, or vice versa. You want to be like, oh God, here's Logan. What's he gonna need this week? Like we want independent people. I like to surround myself with independent people that are givers, and as long as you can twist their arm and make them realize that, hey, look, you need help too, and we're here and we're glad to give you help, then that's where the like it said, uh interdependence, of being dependent on each other and producing and being a member of the community and producing and lifting one another up. I mean, that's what it's all about. But I do think that most of the people that will survive in these communities and will thrive will be the ones who are independent. I mean, it's just getting over the whole pride thing, or I'm going to do this on my own. The whole um, putting your pigtails on and trying to be Laura Ingalls, which in the books, I had heard somebody talk one time about how she said there was a lot of stuff that she left out, but there was a whole lot of community in the Little House on the Prairie books too. I mean, the books kind of portray it like it was Paul the whole time doing everything,
Yeah.
but he had help too. Nobody's just going to go out. There's too much that we have to survive in modern society for us to be a one man show. You got to have people around you, and it's just about surrounding yourself around good people and inspiring others to better themselves. Nobody's perfect. I mean, I'm not trying to say that I'm like a step ahead of everybody else because I've got all this stuff figured out, but just helping people to get out of the ruts of being dependent on systems and believing everything that you're told, kind of stuff. So I have really high hopes for this property and this camp to be able to kind of spark some inspiration into people to move forward with stuff like this, and to build a larger community. Because anytime you have somebody come through a place, you always make connections. You always find people that do different things, and I love the idea of the trading post. Now, I'm not one of these people. Like, I think that video games are ruining a lot of people, but I'm not against video games. Like, I played some video games growing up. I like video games. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. I think they're great for social settings because if we don't need to play games at all, then we need to get rid of chess, and we need to get rid of Monopoly, and we need to get rid of all the board games. But the trading post guy, I think that's something why video games have become so addictive to young men. Young men really crave adventure. I mean, and grown men too. I mean, I crave adventure. I need some kind of task to do, and you've got these video games that, I mean, where are they all set? A lot of them are set like in the Middle Ages. A lot of, like, I mean, you've got are in like fantasy worlds, like you're out on an adventure and you go to the place where the guy's got all the stuff that's he sells for you to get and complete a task, or build something or whatever. And that's why they're so attractive, is because that's how we're really supposed to live.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
supposed to get up in the morning and be like, all right, I've got to go and get Greg and my other two buddies, and we've got this barn to build, and then we're gonna go out and skin the hog and cook for that night and eat, and tomorrow we're going to take a trip into town and go buy supplies. Like, I mean, that's how we're supposed to live. We crave that, and it drives me insane because we're wanting to make our lives just so cushy, but then all of these young men are just getting enveloped in these video games because
Which
none of
is
that's in their
becoming
life.
a substitute for the real life adventure, uh,
Absolutely.
taking action in real life. And I hope my volume is fixed, because I actually found the settings for that. But yeah, man. Well, exactly. Like, the virtual is becoming the replacement for the
Hmm.
physical, and it has been. I feel like, I got sucked into that world when I
Yeah.
was younger, and and like finding community online and being terminally online all the time. And I do believe that, like, we're in that, and like you said earlier in the show, is like you can use it as a tool,
Hmm.
but don't let it rule over you.
Yeah, absolutely. And sorry to anyone to that might be getting a little tired of this. I didn't mean to try to turn this into a rant, but I think it's kind of going back to what we're focusing on with this camp. Is it's going to be a way to allow people to come out into nature and to have a different experience and kind of reconnect with themselves and their nature, because the world is starved for it. And um, we have we have a generation, I guess, like kind of like mine and your generation. I was a 90s kid. I was 93. And I know you were kind of like a late 80s kid, or about
Yeah.
mid 80s. um, we kind of went through the whole thing of like, we can see it all. We can see all the big changes that have happened. But I'm extremely fearful for my daughters. Well, I shouldn't say fearful, because I'm taking plenty of steps to make sure that they're well balanced and well rounded. But kids their age, little toddlers right now, I mean, they're growing up and all this stuff. They're not going to know any different, and they're still going to have that desire to get that connection, but it might be a little bit harder for them. I know, and I had this just recently happen. I went and I did a job for some people in the neighborhood. I got there just a little bit early and knocked on the door, and I had a young man, probably 11, 12 years old, answer the door. Well, I asked him who I was looking for. I could tell it was his mom. And, he said, okay. He walks in there and he goes back. He says, she's getting changed, and then goes and sits down on the couch. Like, he's got his tablet the whole time. The kid just leaves the door wide open. And I'm kind of just standing there. I'm like, this is not my house. I'm like, but I'm going to close this door because, I ain't going in, because, I wasn't invited in. And I'm not just going to stand there with the door open. And so, I just kind of reach in and close the door, and I'm just like, man, this kid is just so enveloped in all of this stuff that, like, it just literally did not care about anything else going on in the world. And man, we've got to get people, and I don't want this to sound like it's, we're a couple of messiahs with this ministry that we're just going to, change the world. But I want us to do good. This is about making money too. The hip camp. We're into the business side of it, but who says you can't have a business and make money and also make a difference in people's lives? Because that's really what it's all about. When you get into a healthy economy, it's about creating wealth. It's about everybody becoming wealthier. It's not about just, let me see how many dollars I can squeeze out of this and what I get out of it.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is about. I mean, I kind of feel like I've got the public indoctrination in my mind of, like, maybe having the idea of, like, I gotta help people, but, like, I can't make any money at it, or else I'm like, so it's like, but that's complete, like, communist in
Mm-hmm.
programming, man. Like, I realize, like,
Mm-hmm.
that's total communist programming in my mind, and
Yep.
you got to get over that. Like in it, when you build that wealth, you can do more things with it, and you can help bless other people with it too. So, that's like, maybe something in the something like I've heard a lot of other people in the community talk about, that is like, homesteaders are really bad salespeople because, like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's that indoctrination in us that's like, we would like to help people, but, like, we don't feel like the capitalism is like a dirty thing or something like that. But it really is.
Absolutely.
It's really helpful to, like, help you grow and do more. So,
Well,
um,
I
go
think a
ahead.
lot of. Go ahead.
No, you go. Yeah, I finish the thought there.
So you talking about the capitalism? The I think a lot of that comes from the fact that people are under the impression that we live in a capitalist country when we really don't. And that's why
Yeah,
capitalism seems so dirty. Like
yeah,
it's like, oh
it's a
no, you don't want to do capitalism. It's like, I think too many people think that fascism is just hating Jews. Like that's what fascism is. It has nothing to do with that. It's the marriage of private industry and
the state.
the government. Yeah, the state. I mean, it has that was part of all of Hitler's atrocities was the fascism. It wasn't directly connected with being a racist, and so I think that's what a lot of people have got in their minds is like, well, if you're a capitalist, you're greedy, and greed is kind of a hard thing to put a definition on for me. But as I've thought more and more about it, because I feel like a lot of our words have been kind of like you said, that indoctrination of, well, this is what this means. But if you think about greed, I don't think necessarily is like some people are like, oh, well, it's like you can never have enough or whatever. It's like, it's not about that. I mean, I'm all about being as wealthy as you can be. Like, have all the nice things that's going to make you happy, that's going to make you successful in life, and it's going to bring joy to other people. It's about having more than your neighbor. So if you come up and you've got, a new car or a new truck, and I say, well, golly, I've got to have more than Greg. I can't have my, 5-year-old truck here. Like, so I get out and I'm trying to get more and more money. I'm trying to, screw people out of things. That way I can get that bigger truck and have more than you, or have control over other people. Because a lot of people, I mean, you can only have so much money. I think there's like a website you can go to spend Bill Gates' money, and like it's impossible to do. You can just like keep buying stuff, and you keep buying stuff, and Bill Gates' money just never disappears. You could double his money and his life would not change. You could triple his money. You could quadruple it. He is all about that power, having the power over people. A lot of people that just can't have enough, they want that power over people. They want to have control of you, me, and everybody else. So that greed thing gets slapped onto capitalism, and capitalism at its core, or really any other thing like I've talked about, on I've even mentioned on my channel, communism isn't a bad thing as long as it's voluntary between everybody. As long as everybody's, on board and like, hey, we just want to share the resources. And, we think it's better together. Like, God bless you, commie it up. But as far as, forcing somebody to do it, it goes back to that control thing, wanting to have control over people. So, yeah, go as a homesteader, make your money, don't feel bad about it. Charge a fair price, which fair subjective too, but, charge what you need to make a living, and don't feel bad about it. You can still help people and make money. It's not about just becoming rich. I mean, there's plenty of people that are super happy with what they do because not only do they make a good living, but they really believe in what they do, and it's helping others, and it's, creating that wealth. So yeah, I'll stop there.
Well, we've come up on an hour. I know you only had an hour to spend with us tonight, but where can people find you, Logan? I've got your YouTube channel there, Hideaway Homestead. Where else can people find you if they want to connect or whatever? Maybe get some of your handyman services.
Yeah, so I am really bad about social media and stuff. I do have my YouTube channel, which is the Hideaway Homestead. If you ever wanted to get in contact directly with me, you can email me, or I answer most every comment on the YouTube channel. Or you can get in contact with me through my email, hideawayhomestead@gmail.com. And yeah, I have a Facebook page for the handyman. Now, it's just started out. I've got a few likes on there. I've posted a few pictures. I don't take near enough, and got a few reviews on there, or people just commenting. Trying to get that growing. It's Hide the Handyman is the page on Facebook. The reason I use it is because a lot of people in neighborhoods have a Facebook group for their neighborhood, and they get on there and they share stuff. And so I started that just not too long ago to try to grow the business. But most of my stuff's been word of mouth. So if anybody wanted to check some of that stuff out, though, you can check out Hide the Handyman on Facebook. and you should be able to find me. I think I've got a profile and a page. Go to the page. The profile, I kind of started it by mistake just because I'm so dumb when it comes to stuff like that. I started a profile and then realized, oh, wait a minute, that's not a page. Nobody's going to be able to review that. And so I went and created the page too. So yeah, and I think that's pretty much it. I don't have any other places. If you're interested in freedom, you can always look into the Freedom Self stuff. And yeah, I'm local in those groups, but yeah, that's I don't have a whole lot of social media stuff. So email, YouTube, and then you can look at the Facebook page for the Hide the Handyman.
Well, awesome, brother. Thank you so much for your time coming on the podcast tonight. Hang around and we'll close it out. But be back next week, guys. Thank you, Nancy, for coming around and hanging out. Appreciate you being there in the chat and the live stream and giving me the heads up on the volume and everything. So we'll see you guys next time, and hope you got some value out of this. Logan, I'll have all your ways people can contact you in the description for the live stream. And thanks again for coming on.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. It's been great.
Thanks, man.